It's been about a week of soaking body bolts, bumper bolts, and anything else I could find. Now it's finally time to get the Wagoneer back up in the air and start taking this body off. Welcome to Repower Garage. First things first, I'm going to disconnect and remove the old battery, and then I will drain the coolant out of the radiator so I can get that out of there. This will just free up a lot more room in the engine bay for this body to lift off around the engine. With the Wagoneer up in the air, you can see that this has an automatic transmission cooler integrated into the radiator. Some of these, especially aftermarket ones, will be external, their own cooler. This one is stock. So I have two transmission lines in that radiator that I will have to disconnect in addition to the coolant lines before I can pull this thing out. If your radiator has a coolant drain valve like this one does, you can usually affix a hose to it so that you can minimize the mess, coolant splashing all over the garage floor. This one, I've got a piece of 3/8 overflow hose. I'll slide it over there before I try to open it, and that way I can direct it right into the bucket. Before I lower it back down to pull the radiator out through the hood, I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the shifter linkage while I've got it up in the air. So I've got a column shifter and a couple pivot points on that shift linkage I'll dig into. And then I will also go ahead and look at what it'll take to disconnect the transfer case, high, neutral, low selector, as well as the vacuum selector for four-wheel drive. All right, so far I've got the linkage disconnected from the column shifter. There's a cotter pin, and I just took it off at that arm on the column shifter. And I also just disconnected the high, low, neutral range lever. On this NP229, there is an assembly, a shifter assembly that bolts to the case that also has a vacuum actuator. There's a cotter pin way up high there that you can actually get to. A lot easier if you take the front drive shaft out. Very easy if you take that interior access panel out, but right now I still have the interior fully intact in this. I also took the speedo cable off, and now I'm going to go after the parking brake, and that will get me to my next step. Our Wagoneer down on the floor again. I can now remove the radiator hoses and get this radiator out of here. I'll also undo both the front and rear brake lines from the master cylinder and just keep working my way around, trying to find things that I may have missed that I'll need to do before I can lift this body off. There's always more coolant in the system somewhere. This one's no different. So I've got a bit of a mess to clean up on the floor. I'm gonna wrap this stuff up. I'm just taking some notes on what I'll do next time I need to come out here. That includes the air conditioning lines off the compressor. This has no charge on it, so I'm in luck there. I might leave the condenser in for now until I get some measurements off the cooling package that I plan on running. And I will keep working my way around brake lines, electrical, fuel filler, whatever else is on my checklist, and I'll be back at it. One thing that helps if you're getting into a project and you know you're gonna have to start and stop a few times because unless it's a full-time job, let's face it, there could be nights or weeks between wrenching time. One thing that really helps with that, keeping track, is making lists. So if you're not already doing this, get a whiteboard or a scrap piece of paper in your garage, make a checklist, especially if you're doing something big like taking the body off of a vehicle. At the end of the night, you know, you can kind of mark down what are the next steps, things you've seen that you're like, oh, I'll have to get into that or I won't. And that, you know, really helps you along the way. I know it helped me because I didn't get to touch this thing for a long time. I went back to my checklist and I knew what I was missing, did those things, and I was ready for the body off and I didn't have to second guess myself. So checklist, check it twice, and then you gotta do stuff like this. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Repower Garage. It has been too long since I have put the Wagoneer up on the rack and just left it there. I had disconnected a bunch of stuff, as you saw in the engine bay, shifter linkages, all that, and started soaking the body bolts. So today I'm gonna break those loose, hopefully not break any bolts, and get this body off the chassis. Knowing I wasn't gonna be able to touch this for a while, I took advantage of the time and I started soaking all the body bolts while I was on conference calls and stuff. I'd walk out here and just hit them again. Did not know it was gonna be so long. So I'm happy that I put a ratchet on all of them and they are all turning pretty freely. So no broken bolts, and that just makes this so much easier. For those of you who are thinking about doing this, I can't stress enough, don't give them a 5-minute soak, give them like a 3-week in advance soak if you have the time, and it will help. Also, another trick is you can put an extension and your socket onto the bolt and hit it with the hammer a few times just to try to help break it loose before you really start to try to twist it. And that will help hopefully prevent breaking the bolt. If you're gonna take the body off the Wagoneer, one of the first things you'll need to do before you actually separate the frame, the rear bumper does overlap the lip on the bodywork. So popping that rear bumper off, not a big deal. On this 89, there are 3 bolts on each side on the rear bumper bracket. It's a 11/16 nut and a 5/8 bolt head. So after you soak those, go ahead and take those 6 off. Bumper will come loose, and then once the body's ready to fly, it can go straight up. All right, I just got the rear bumper off and 6 bolts. It's easier than taking the front bumper off. So if you happen to have a lift or not, either way, if you're gonna take the body off with the front clip intact, one of those bumpers does need to come off, and you do have to be able to move the vehicle an inch or so just to clear the bodywork from behind the bumper. I'm gonna go ahead and get this body up in the air, make sure I don't have anything connected that I forgot, and hopefully I'll have a chassis out from under this thing in just a couple minutes. Not too shabby. That is much easier than doing it with a cherry picker or anything, so I am not taking this lift for granted. That was a lifesaver. Left the whole powertrain intact and drive shafts and all. I'm gonna roll this thing out, get the body up on a set of dollies so I can roll it out of the way, and pressure wash and make a plan. I got that chassis out from under that body, and then I'm going to pull the dollies out from under that bed and put them back under that body and roll it out of the way.